Hello and welcome into the Skraby Show. It is September 3rd, 2024, and I can tell you right now, everything has already gone cattywampus in my first draft. So if you were just listening to the show, I have 3 fantasy football drafts tonight. And one of them is occurring right now as we speak, and it started at 6, and the person who was I was the number 2 pick. This is my family league, so I was the number 2 pick. The person who had the number 1 pick selected CMC before you could even press the draft button. So I was on the clock immediately, and I chose CeeDee Lamb. So I chose CeeDee Lamb. I had to. I kind of got a little nervous about everything. It came at me too quick. So we'll go back and forth into that whole thing tonight with the fantasy football drafts. If you have any fantasy football draft stories or anything, go ahead and put them into the chat and go to YouTube and search 97.3 The Fan. Pigtown Sports, hello. You are on X right now. You can watch that. Matt Skraby, at Matt Skraby, MattsKrab as in boy, Y. Pigtown Sports, actually, I believe, is Jackson Merrill's cousin. We actually talked on Twitter for a little bit here, maybe like a month ago. So there you go. Brian says, I don't like drafting wide receivers in the top 3. You're absolutely right. I don't like doing it either. But in this league, I have fallen behind so much with not having great receivers. Like, the running backs just don't mean anything in some of these leagues now. PPR, if you get the running back that can catch passes out of the backfield, you're good. But I, in this league, wanted to go with a 100%, no doubt about it, in CeeDee Lamb. Because CeeDee Lamb last year, he won me the Odyssey League. He really did. And that's not a joke. He had one of I guess in the championship week, he had like 20 or 30 points in the championship week. So that was awesome. But I wanted to go with CeeDee Lamb just because I know that he is capable of putting up some great, great, great stuff. So I will keep you up to date on that. We're lucky. By the way, I'm Matt Skraby. This is the Skraby Show on 97.3 The Fan. We're lucky to be in the National League West because you know what the National League West is? It's full of a bunch of teams outside the Rockies that can win. If you are the AL Central, I saw this tweet this morning, which really, really put it into perspective for me. The AL Central is 38 games under 500 as a whole. The AL Central has 5 teams. 4 of those are over 500. So guess what? The White Sox are so bad this year that they are able to take a division with 4 above 500 teams, and they're able to sink them to 38 games under 500. I mean, what's happening with the White Sox right now is embarrassing. And I too, like Chris, I like to be able to see teams that are not very good, and do historical things such as lose the most games in baseball history. I'm all about that. I am all about that. But this year just seems like the White Sox have given up. And if I'm the owner of the Jerry's Reinsdorf, when I was in Chicago a few weeks ago, and I was listening to the radio, and they were talking about the White Sox. Basically, honestly, they said this, and this was in the middle of August, so while baseball's heating up, they said that they weren't going to be talking about the White Sox anymore because no one wants to hear about the White Sox anymore. And if you look at the games, there's no one going to the games. If I'm Jerry Reinsdorf, I feel extremely embarrassed about this season. I feel extremely embarrassed that I have let it get to this point. I mean, it is on a new level of bad because they have done so. Like, baseball is a game where even the A's, we were talking about this earlier in the year, even the A's were able to win like 5 or 6 in a row last year. This year, I mean, the White Sox right now are 31 and 108, 44 games behind the Cleveland Guardians in the AL Central. They have lost 11 straight games, and they are currently getting demolished by the Orioles right now. The Orioles, it's 9-0. They're up in the bottom of the eighth. So I don't know if I'm Major League Baseball, if I'm going to like maybe check in on the White Sox and say, hey, are you guys going to start trying are you guys going to start trying soon? Because you're definitely not trying this year. The last couple of years have been a disaster. So when we're in Padres land and we're thinking about things that are bad, just remember, you could be a White Sox fan. You could be someone who has only 31 wins and your team has set the record for longest losing streak. It's just ridiculous. Joseph says, or Dominic says, I'm sorry, if you were Jerry Reinsdorf, you wouldn't give a bleep. He doesn't care. You're probably right. He doesn't care. But in the end, it's his name that is going to be tarnished. When it goes down in history, it's Jerry Reinsdorf was the owner of the worst team in baseball history. I think he cares about that because he doesn't really care about his standing among the, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, us peasants. He doesn't really understand the feelings of us peasants. But when he's looked at with across the league from other owners, even in that group, they're going to be like, he's going to be the guy that gets picked on because his team was so bad. So he doesn't care, but I think he cares in certain situations. It's just really terrible situation for the White Sox right now. And man, 31 wins this year is brutal. I do not know how in the world you get through a season when you've only won 31 games and you continue to lose 10 or more games all the time. All the time. I didn't expect to start with the White Sox talk, but I went with it, and I'm just waiting for my second pick to come around. In my draft, I have already drafted CD Lamb, so there you go. I'm going to keep watching it. But we do need to talk the Padres, and they're the farthest thing from the White Sox right now. I love that the Padres are a team this year where they can go out, they can lose a game like over the weekend. They can lose a game against the Reds, and then they just get right business as usual, and they win the next two. And that would include yesterday's game. And then on Sunday, they won a pretty fundamental baseball game where they won on a sac fly late in the game. I believe Tyler Wade scored on Xander Bogaerts' sac fly. And this is the team that we've seen since the All-Star break. This team has been pretty incredible since the All-Star break. And I don't feel right now that this team has any sort of lack of confidence anywhere because they're winning games all the time and they're winning games from behind. And you have Jackson Merrill, who is continuing to be incredible. He won the August National League Rookie of the Month. He played in 27 games. He hit 303, 969 OPS, 15 extra base hits, 5 doubles, 3 triples, 7 home runs, 23 RBIs, and 4 game-tying or game-winning home runs. He's obviously a huge reason why the Padres are what the Padres are right now, but I feel like in years past, they may lose that game to the Rays, and then I'm sorry. I'm drafting, everybody. I'm drafting. Do I go Drake London or Devontae Adams, Mike Evans, Isaiah Pacheco? Ooh, I don't know. I don't know which way to go. Let's see. I am going to go. Okay, chat, help me out. It's a fantasy football draft for all you listening out there. I have Drake London, Devontae Adams, Mike Evans, Isaiah Pacheco ready to go. I'm going to go with Drake London. I feel like that's a good pick. Now I have 2 wide receivers, and I need to look for a running back. And I'm going to go. I wanted this dude last year. I'm going to go in my next pick, Isaiah Pacheco. I'm going to go, if he's still there, obviously. Anyway, Jackson Merrill. I know this is going to be awkward tonight, everyone. Please just stay with me. Just stay with me. One flex spot, Joseph. Jackson Merrill is causing, and I think I kind of touched on this last week, but he's been so good this year that he's causing teams to game plan him. And it's taking time away from the game planners to be studying other players because Jackson Merrill has been that good. Like, when he comes up to bat, there's no sort of there's nothing about his at bats that tell me that he's not ready to be a major leaguer. And we all know that he's ready to be a major leaguer because we've seen it all season long. But usually you just don't get rookies that come out and do as much as he's done in a season and boost a team as much as he has this season. I think Jackson Merrill, and just the pure fact that he's 21 years old and he's a rookie and he's having his first big, huge major league year, is a massive it's a massive win for that Padres clubhouse. I believe that they want to be a part of it. Or I believe that they want to rally around him. And I just picked Isaiah Pacheco. I believe that they want to rally around Jackson Merrill, and they can rally around Jackson Merrill because it's easy to rally around someone like a Manny Machado or a Jurickson Profar. But when you're rallying around a guy like Jackson Merrill, and he has done what he has done in the past since the All-Star break, basically. I mean, he's done it all season long, but he's really turned it on here as of late. If you have a guy on your team that's a rookie, he's 21 years old, and he is, quite honestly, carrying the team at certain points of the year, and with Jurickson Profar kind of falling off, like, is Jackson Merrill the Padres MVP right now? I think it is true that he's the MVP because without him, where is this team going to be? The first half, it was all about Jurickson Profar. The second half has been all about Jackson Merrill. And it's not even about just what he does at the plate. He is someone who is going to play great defense, and we've seen it several times this year. We've seen him play defense and win games. And that just, you can't really ask for much more. And I've said this before. Jackson Merrill is being put in these spots to succeed. And it takes a certain amount of luck and chance to have him come up in those situations and have him take the at-bat when they need someone to tie up the game or to hit a walk-off home run. Also, that I think it was against the Pirates. There was a end-of-the-game sliding catch that he made, Jackson Merrill. And he has to have the ball hit to him. But every opportunity that's thrown at him, he cashes in. And he's been really good at it. And he's done it all season long. And I'm not sure, but I do think Jackson Merrill is the Padres MVP at the moment. Again, Jurickson Profar first half MVP. Jackson Merrill second half MVP. And I don't know who we're going to be picking at the end of the year for the Padres MVP. Because it's not as crowded as it once was, but I have to give it to Jackson Merrill. He hasn't won. The team has won some very important games off of some very important moments from Jackson Merrill. But back to my original point. I like that this team can go out, lose that game on Saturday, get kind of blown out on Saturday, and then win a tough game on Sunday, and then come here back home on a holiday, getting 40-plus thousand people in Petco Park, and they were able to shut out the Tigers and win 3-0 there. So this team is just business as usual, and that's the biggest compliment I can give them as business as usual because they're just winning when they need to win, and they're winning series, and things are shaping up for the Padres to be looking pretty good here for the postseason. Now, I'm not saying that they're in yet. I'm knocking on all the wood because I know that things can happen, but I just don't foresee any sort of slowdown from this team. And I don't foresee, with Yu Darvish being back and Fernando being back and Joe Musgrove being back, I really don't see this team not making the playoffs. I mean, at this point, it would be pretty hard for them not to make the playoffs. They'd have to go on a pretty terrible streak, which I'm knocking on wood again because they're not going to do it. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I think this team is ready for whatever is thrown at this year. And I think that the playoff run they had a couple years ago with some of these guys, Jake and Manny and Joe and Hassan Kim, Jurickson Profar, all of these guys are more experienced than they were the last time the playoffs came around, and that is a huge thing for them. That experience means a lot, and I 100% believe that. When you come up to bat in a big moment in the playoffs, and you've already done something like the big moment, like Hassan Kim or like Jake Cronenworth getting that hit over the Dodgers, you draw on those experiences. You're still maybe going to be a little nervous or whatever, but I feel like those experiences go a long way, and we just can't really measure it because you can't measure anything like that. So this team is shaping up to be in a good place. All right, I'm going to head to break for our first break of the day. I'm going to figure out what's going on with the fantasy football draft because I have no idea, and I'll get back to you here shortly. This is the Skraby Show, and it's 97.3 The Fan.
If San
right, back here in the Odyssey Palace, 97.3 The Fan, the Skraby Show, or the Skraby Chronicles, or whatever you want to call it. If you want to watch on YouTube, you can. Just search YouTube. Go to YouTube and search 97.3 The Fan. You can also go to my X page, at Matt Skraby, MattsKrab, as in boy, Y. So I'm doing a fantasy draft for all you just tuning in. And the Padres are off today, so this is why I'm talking about the fantasy draft on the air. But I'm doing a fantasy draft, and it's going horribly, everybody. It's not going the way that I wanted it to go. I actually was trying to put up the screen of the draft onto the YouTube screen, but then I thought, all right, well, I can do that, but I'm just going to draft from my phone. And when I went to my phone, it kicks you out of the other draft room. So I had no idea what was going on. It said I thought that I was up for the draft. Or I was up to draft next. I thought I took James Cook. And I did not. Or I thought I took Isaiah Pacheco. That's who I wanted. I did not, actually. So it came back around to me, and all of a sudden, I now have 4 wide receivers on my 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league. So here's who I got. CeeDee Lamb, Drake London, Devontae Adams, Kenneth Walker, Rashee Rice is who I have so far. It's not going well, guys. It's going horribly, actually. So we'll stick with it. But drafting on your phone is not the way to go, I gotta say, because it's not as easy. And also, I gotta say that there are a lot of wide receiver in this year's drafts, like a lot of wide receivers. So I'm up in 9 picks. We'll get back to it in just a second. Currently, I don't know if anybody has watched this before, but it's on like the MLB.TV, but it's called MLB Big Inning. And sometimes it's kind of like an NFL Red Zone type thing where they put up different games. And I've been watching it a lot lately. And there's just something about the magic of Red Zone. I think it's because the sport works, which is football. But there's something about the magic of Red Zone that you just can't capture in other sports. I mean, you can just go into certain drives for different teams. The action sometimes is quicker. But when you put up the 4 games, I do enjoy watching the 4 games in MLB Big Inning because then you get to see everything. But it's hard to keep track of. I mean, I think that's the theme of today, of everything. It's hard to keep track of. And Joseph says, love Rice, but Devontae and Ken Walker is puke emoji. I'm with you. I really thought I had Isaiah Pacheco. I'm in a whole world of hurt, and I got 2 more drafts happening tonight. And our Odyssey draft is happening tonight at 8 o'clock. So, man, I shouldn't have done this draft on the show, but it's all good. It's all good. Tomorrow, you can come out and see Chris and I. We're going to be at the new Buffalo Wild Wings in Mira Mesa, located at 9690 Reagan Road. We'll be giving out 3 pairs of tickets to the Padres-Astros game on September 18th. Plus, Buffalo Wild Wings will be signing people up for 10 lucky people to win free wings for a year. Now, here's how it works with the Padres tickets. We're going to be doing a drawing at 3. We're going to be doing a drawing at 4. We're going to be doing a drawing at 5. So the first pair of tickets, to sign up, you have to be there, and you have to be there when we call your name for the tickets. But you could just sign up, and if you can only wait for the first drawing, you can do that. But if you sign up in the 2 p.m. hour, you're going to have a good shot. I got to tell everybody, if you really want these tickets and you are able to make it to the Mira Mesa Buffalo Wild Wings, do it, because the 2 p.m. hour is the lightest hour for entrance. And I'm giving everybody a little pro tip right here. A little pro tip, which is come early, because your odds are a lot higher of getting those tickets as opposed to maybe 5 p.m. But I really was happy at the last one, our 5 p.m. winner, I believe, Drew and Lily, Lily. I believe it's Lily. Sorry, Lily, if your name's not Lily. But they won, and they were very excited. They got to go right to the game. So that's what we're going to be giving away tomorrow. I got 3 picks to go, everyone. But during that time, we'll talk about the Padres going 10-8 in the 18-game stretch. And I think, personally, that is a good thing for the team. I think personally that 10-8 is not an indication of them being bad at all. 10-8 in an 18-game stretch at this point in the year is what teams do to stay in the playoff race. They the Dodgers have pulled away slightly, but the Diamondbacks are right there, and the Padres are right there, and they kept pace. A lot of it was on the road as well. I'm trying to look behind me. So, yeah, a lot of it was on the road, and that's not an easy thing to do, is go on the road and continue to win. Oh my gosh, it's my turn. This is terrible radio. I'm sorry, everybody. Let's see. I can't take another wide receiver. I already have 3 of those. This is not going well. James Conner. I don't want James Conner. He always gets hurt. Tank Dell. I already have too many wide receivers. Ramondre Stevenson. I'm not a fan of. Raheem Mostert. Not a fan of. I don't know who's gonna. I don't know what I'm doing here. Everybody, I am going to have a terrible fantasy football year. So I just got to take next best available. Everybody's going to hate this pick, but I'm taking George Kittle. And I'm back up in 2 picks. This is ridiculous. This is a disaster. This is a disaster, I tell you. Dominic said something on the chat. 19-8 in a 27-game stretch. Also, very good. So these Padres are fighting through adversity, and these Padres are winning on the road, and these Padres are putting strings of wins together, and these Padres are relentless right now. And with Yu Darvish back tomorrow, what are we expecting out of Yu Darvish tomorrow? Are we expecting him to go out there? Tony and Chris earlier were talking about Yu Darvish, and he's probably going to have four innings or so to try to get back into starting shape. But what kind of Yu Darvish are we going to see? Personally, I think Yu Darvish wouldn't come back to the team unless he was really ready and locked in for this stretch run of the season. So I think Yu Darvish is going to. I think Yu Darvish is going to be great tomorrow for the time that they give him, and he's going to be great going down the stretch. I was just listening to my 12 Games in October podcast, and no, that's a weird thing for me to say. I was listening to my own podcast that I put together, but just Google the number 1-2 Games in October, and you'll find it. It's all about the 2022 playoff series. But Yu Darvish, or the playoff run for the Padres, Yu Darvish was incredibly important in that run. And having a guy like Yu Darvish to steady the rotation during the playoffs and the lead up to the playoffs, I think is another point for the Padres. There are lots of points if we're doing like a PTI, not pardon the interruption. What's the one? I can't remember what's the one that they do where they give them points. I can't remember what the show's called. But if the Padres get points, they're getting points for all of these different things. And adding all of these guys back to the rotation or back to the team, adding Yu Darvish back to the rotation, Fernando back to his starting right field spot, David Peralta in left, able to give Jurickson Profar a little bit of rest. I mean, no other team in baseball is getting the superstars, or at least the stars, back and being able to use them in the same year like the Padres are. You could argue the Dodgers have Yamamoto coming off of the IL soon enough, but I don't think that Yamamoto, he had some good points this year, but he's been hurt most of the year, and Yu Darvish has years and years and years and years of experience over Yamamoto at the Major League Baseball level. And so I think Yu Darvish is one of those silent one of those things that no one really talks about as much. I haven't seen a lot of national talk about Yu Darvish coming back to the team. I haven't seen a lot of national people come talk about Fernando coming back to the team, but they're going to have to pretty soon because it's going to be a story that they can honestly just not avoid any longer. So going into the last month of the season, I think Padres are going to do what they're going to do. And I don't care what anybody says. They're going to be fine. They're going to go down and they're going to make the playoffs, knock on wood, and they're going to be the same team that we've seen all year. So I'm going to head to break. When we get back, we have more fantasy football talk. I'm up next. I really don't even know who to take, so it's just not going well for me. There's so many wide receivers that I don't need, and it's going to be something that I'm going to hate when I see my team at the end of the night. So I'll make that pick. I'll let you know when we get back here on 97.3 The Fan.
Quinn and Chris on The Fan.
I mean, I must have did everything but throw the remote at the TV.
You should have thrown the remote.
I think you unhooked your microphone.
I was
Here, I just turned it off. Now put it on the back of your microphone. Press the cord in. The back of the microphone. The back of the microphone.
We're having technical difficulties here.
Listen to Quinn and Chris weekdays from 2 to 6 on 97.3 The Fan. The Fan.
The Padres regular season is wrapping up. The team hosts the Houston Astros and Chicago White Sox September 16th through the 22nd in their final homestand. Be one of the first 40,000 fans on Wednesday, September 18th and receive a Tatis Jr. Platinum Glove bobblehead, thanks to Canals. And join us September 20th.
back here. Skraby Show, 97.3 The Fan. Going through my fantasy draft, talking about the Padres. Looking at MLB Network show, Shohei Ohtani swinging for maybe the billionth time today. Yes, can you tell I'm being a little sarcastic, but I'm also annoyed by it. Very annoyed by it, actually. Let's see. I had to read something. And now I can't. Baseball coverage on 97.3 The Fan is presented by T-Mobile. Switch to T-Mobile and you can get tons of benefits and still save on every plan versus AT&T and Verizon. Use their savings calculator to find out how at T-Mobile.com/switch. Now, I want to thank Baja Ricks for bringing all of us food today. And I also want to thank Rick, who has nothing to do with Baja Ricks. He's not the Rick in the Baja Ricks. But Rick guarded the food with his life, and I really appreciate that, because in the past 97.3 The Fan has gotten food delivered by different sponsors, and it's gone before any of us can even get there. And today he guarded it with his life. He made sure that everybody from 97.3 The Fan had their food in front of them, and let me tell you, it was delicious. Nothing like a little surf and turf at 1 p.m. And I'm not joking. I don't eat the lobster, but I did eat the steak and the chicken and the rice and the beans. As you can tell, I'm getting a little hungry as we're talking about it. But I just wanted to thank Baja Ricks for bringing in the food today. Make sure you guys go there before a Padres game. We had a show, or not us, but the morning show and the midday show, Annie and Elston had a show at Baja Ricks, I believe on opening day, which is right next to Petco Park. It's near, actually, the coaster or trolley drop-off that's across the street from the convention center. So it's very close by. You could stop in, you can get some food, you can get some drinks before you head into Petco Park. And take care of them, because we need you to take care of them. We would like for you to take care of them because they're so good to us. Shohei Ohtani is the reason that they're showing him, and I know I was being a little rude, but the reason they're showing him is because he is taking his first at-bat in Anaheim since he left the team, and they weren't going to do anything for him, but they did put up something on the big board that they showed. They put it up on the Jumbotron, and it was just basically a picture of Shohei Ohtani with like some of the, and then text with some of the accolades, you know, his MVPs and all of that, and number of home runs, you know, batting titles, all that stuff. So not really a big thing. And, you know, Tony said earlier, he likes it. He likes that the Anaheim Angels are not going to honor Shohei Ohtani, which I came into it thinking they're going to, most of the time, teams do these things. And I came into it thinking that's kind of rude that they wouldn't honor Shohei Ohtani. But the more I thought about it, the more I agreed with Tony. It's like, why would you want to give this whole hoopla to a guy, A, that's not retiring, and B, is going to be coming into your stadium every other year for the next 10 years or whatever, and he's going to be crushing you. He's going to be hitting home runs. He's going to be stealing bases. He's probably going to be striking you out. So I'm not sure why, you know, it's not the worst thing in the world that they don't honor him because he is still an active player. In my mind, if you're an active player and you just left from free agency, maybe that sort of celebration comes later on in your career. But it's and McKee says something really, really good. It's like the cursory nod you give your ex when you run into them. That's it. No talking. That's a great way of putting it. And I think that's what the Angels did by putting that thing up on the board. They put up a small, simple graphic of Shohei Ohtani, gave him a standing ovation, and then moved on. And that is true. Every time I've seen an ex, I, A, try to hide because I'm an awkward human being and I will be awkward. And B, I do the thing where you go like, oh, hey, what's up? How you doing? Okay, bye. Something very quick like that. And that's what the Angels did, and I'm kind of enjoying what the Angels are doing. But that game just started 0-0 up in Anaheim. Now, some of the other teams that the Padres are going to have to fend off here down the stretch in the wild card situation, the New York Mets. They have won 5 in a row, and currently they are up on who are they playing today? On the Red Sox. So they're going to be moving up again, and they're probably going to be tied with the Braves in the wild card for the last wild card spot. And if I'm the Padres, which they are plus 3.5 over the Braves, and the Diamondbacks are plus 2.5 over the Braves. So the Diamondbacks are 5-5 in their last 10. So not the greatest stretch for them. We just saw them do incredible things for, it seemed like, 2 weeks. And now they've come back to earth a little bit. They're 5-5. And the Padres are on top of the wild card situation. The Dodgers, on the other hand, they have 83 wins. Now, when you look at the Padres record, 79 wins, like I was talking to a friend over the weekend, when do you kind of shift gears on the division, and when do you just focus on the wild card spot as fans? Of course, the team's never going to do this. But I think as long as you're within a handful of games, which I would say is a max of 5 to 7, which is more than a handful, but 5 to 7 games, right now, they're down. They need 4 wins. I mean, they need some other stuff to work out, too, because they haven't played the same amount of games. But they're 4 wins off of tying the top win total in baseball. That's how good the Padres have been this year. And it's hard to really get people to notice that when they're not leading the division, because at an AA meeting over the weekend, I was talking about the Padres, and people asked me about the Padres, and one of the guys said, well, the Padres aren't doing that good. And I'm like, yes, they are. They're doing great. And then I told him all about what's going on, and he said, oh, okay, well, they're a lot better than I thought they were. And fans sometimes forget that the Padres have won a ton of games since the All-Star break, but the Padres can still win this division, and I'm not ready to give up on this division. I think that they have a chance. They have some matchups with the Dodgers down the stretch, and they have some matchups with the Diamondbacks down the stretch. So this isn't just a fleeting thought that the Padres are competing for the division. I don't think that's a fleeting thought at all. I think that it's something that could come down to the last week of the year when they go to L.A. on the last Tuesday in September, and they play 3-game series there, and then they go to Arizona for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and that's it for the season. So they have 2 of the teams that they need to fend off, or at least keep pace with, and they're going to be playing them at the end of the season, which can mean a lot. It can change everything, those last 6 games of the year. Not to mention that the White Sox are coming to town let's see. This is really good timing for the Padres, because the White Sox are coming in town the last home series of the regular season for the Padres. I can't see the dates, but it's like the last home series. And the White Sox, as we talked about to begin the show, the White Sox are just brutal. And I also got to think, like, if you're not a team that's at least winning 2 of 3 from the White Sox, you're doing it wrong, because every team is winning 2 of 3 from the White Sox, and not every team. Some teams are sweeping the White Sox, and that's exactly what the Padres need to do. They need to take care of business against those teams that they should take care of business against, and they've been doing that all season long. Now, I know that there's some people out there saying, like, why aren't you ever talking about the bad things of the Padres? Well, the reason is I can't find many bad things of the Padres right now, because they are playing well and they are winning. But if I were to point out anything right now, it would be, and this is a small microscopic criticism of the team, but it's got to be the Yuki Matsui area of the bullpen. And I don't want to just say Yuki Matsui, but I'm kind of struggling to. Sean Reynolds is another guy. That part of the bullpen scares me. And I have a friend that texts me every time Yuki Matsui comes in the game, every time, and says, game over, which isn't true, because Yuki Matsui has been good at points. But I don't know that I feel as comfortable with Yuki Matsui on the mound in a high leverage situation in the postseason. I don't have any, I don't want to say I don't have any faith, but it makes me nervous, and it's like one of the pitchers I wouldn't want to see come out of the bullpen during the playoffs. Cameron says, unnecessary shot at Reynolds. You're absolutely right. It was an unnecessary shot at Sean Reynolds. He hasn't been doing terrible. So, and honestly, I'm saying that because I don't know his stats off the top of my head. So I'm going to go to the stats page right now for the Padres, and I'm going to see what Sean Reynolds has been doing. Martin Perez, he's not going to make the playoff roster, but he had some good starts with the Padres, and since then has been so-so. All right, that was an incredibly unnecessary shot at Sean Reynolds because I'm looking at his stuff. He's got a .82 ERA in 9 games, 11 innings pitched, struck out 21 batters, whip of 1.36. So, okay, I take it back. Sean Reynolds is not in Yuki Matsui area. But if we go to Yuki Matsui, then I'm going to look at his game log because this is what my friend was telling me about. Telling me that Yuki Matsui gives up home runs all the time, gives up the game all the time. And Yuki Matsui in his last 3 appearances, well, he has given up 2 earned runs in those last 3 appearances. He's also struck out some batters. He's also gotten the win in 1 game. But, you know, I was just trying to come up with something to criticize about. And even Yuki Matsui, at times, it's a little nerve-wracking, but looking through his numbers, seeing what he's done in bulk stretches of time. Let's see. In the month of August, Yuki Matsui he pitched 13 innings, and his ERA for August was 3.38. So not great for a reliever, but not terrible either. He didn't take any losses. He pitched at least an inning 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like over 10 times his appearance. He pitched an inning and 2/3 last time. So there is certain uses for Yuki Matsui. All right. We're back to the fantasy draft. And I've taken my quarterback. Ooh. Next up, we have a Jaylen Warren sighting or a Javonte Williams sighting. If you're just tuning in, I have 3 fantasy football drafts tonight, and one of them happened to be during this show. So I wasn't able to get it. Oh, I should read the chat. Oh, Sam Levitt is on the chat. I'm all over the place. I'm sorry, everybody. Sam Levitt's on the chat. Julio says you might not even need Yuki in the playoffs because one of your starters would probably go to the bullpen. That is true. Make sure to give Sammy good advice, Skraby. Don't gatekeep. Oh, Sam says, Skraby, I need you to get off the air and explain to me if I need to know anything about the keepers in our draft. Well, I'll tell you, Sammy Lev. The keepers in our draft are, it's already been decided. So this league has been going on for a little bit. I'm keeping Kyron Williams in the 14th round of the draft, and that's going to be great. So those guys are just off the board. Sammy Lev, we're drafting on the ESPN thing, so they're already going to be out of the mix when you get there. And I can't wait to see Sam Levitt draft tonight. I have a feeling Sam Levitt's going to be like some ringer. He's going to be some ringer. Last year, we had him in the Survivor League, and he only lasted 1 thing. Do I need to do anything? You, Sam Levitt, need to talk to Tony and see if he'll allow you to keep someone because you kind of came in late. Tony is the commissioner. Sam keeps asking questions. Like, am I not supposed to draft them or will they just be unavailable? They're going to be unavailable. You're not going to be able to draft them. And then when it comes up to that spot in the draft, it'll automatically take it for that person. So, like I said, I picked Kyron Williams in the 14th. So when we get to the 14th, I don't really have a pick. It's just going to pick it for me and move forward. Katrina says she loves this show. I mean, I feel like this show has been a big old jumbled mess, but if people are having fun, then I'm all about it. And on a Padres off day where I can't find really anything to criticize about, and I'm going to get criticisms for not criticizing, I'm just going to keep being happy with the Padres because it seems to be working for me. It seems to be working for a lot of people too. And this daily gripe also seems to be working for people.
What's annoying Skraby today? Let's find out. It's time for the Daily Gripe.
Sam's all into this. He's ordered a pizza for the draft. Ooh, Cameron. Cameron came up with a good one. I'm kind of upset I didn't think about this. If we're going to criticize right now, it's got to be Luis Campusano. Luis Campusano has had a tough stretch as of late, and it doesn't seem to be getting better. And his defense has been struggling too. There we go, Cameron. That is a good criticism, because I know that Luis Campusano started the year okay, but it's been tough for him the rest of the year. And now I don't necessarily expect a catcher to hit 300. I don't necessarily expect a catcher to hit 270. I just need a catcher to hit anywhere between 230 and 250, 260. Just keep it afloat. But Luis Campusano right now is not doing it on the offensive end, and he's not doing it on the defensive end either. There have been some errors lately. Maybe not errors, but there have been some mistakes lately. And I'm not going to give up on Luis Campusano, because obviously he has shown he can be a good player, and he is a good player, but it just hasn't been there for him as of late. And need a full 100% reset with Luis Campusano going into the postseason, because right now they have two catchers, Kyle Higashioka and Luis Campusano. And Kyle Higashioka's been good, but can we count on him to do that during the playoffs? My inclination is yes, but catcher position might be interesting for the Padres going into the playoffs, because you can see some of the teams in the playoffs have really good catchers, really good offensive catchers, and it helps a lot. So we'll see. But good suggestion, Cameron. Yes, Elias Diaz is on the team. They did call him up, but I need to see him hit, and I need to see him fit in with this team before I say that he's going to be a savior of anything. Julio says, I feel like Campy's going to lose out his starts to Diaz. Probably. Sandy with the punch. Campy's catching was straight up lazy. Runner on third, you got to get off your knees. I think Tony's talked about that before with other catchers. Like, is it something that is bad for you? By, how some catchers now go down to one knee or go down on both knees to catch a ball, or at least block a ball. But would you rather him be on one knee and a ball go under his glove and then they score a run? Or are you... I don't even know. I'm just criticizing to criticize now. But that was bad. And there have been some pass balls as of late. All right. Daily Gripe. I can't believe I made it all the way through the show. Daily Gripe right now is going to be about fantasy football. And it's this. I am in 4 now fantasy football leagues. 2 of them, the Entercom League and my friend's league, they only communicate over text message. Apparently, they stopped sending emails to notify the league that stuff is happening. But the reason that they have stopped communicating with me is because I'm Android. And they didn't want to mess up the text chat. And again, this is my plea to everyone out there. Please accept us Android people. Accept us Google Pixel people. We are nice people, but we are hated by all iPhone people. So I didn't even know that the draft was starting. I didn't even know what day the draft was. I didn't even know what keepers were, because all of this apparently has been going on a text chat. That's iPhone only. iPhone only. All right. Thanks to everybody who stuck around for the entire show. This was a little bit crazy. It won't be that crazy next time. I won't have a fantasy football draft in the middle of the show. And things are not going good. I'm going to have to give a little update on that tomorrow. But we'll definitely give you an update on what happens in our Odyssey League. So thanks, everybody, for listening. Hope you have a great night. And we will talk to you tomorrow on Wednesday.
Every Thursday at 10 a.m.